Welcome, everybody, to this week's Distressed Property Call. This podcast and broadcast is brought to you by HomeLoanAdvocates. That's right, my partner David Bartels at HomeLoanAdvocate. They specialized in distressed property solutions for buyers, sellers, investors, and realtors across the country. Doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter the situation you're in. If you're working on a distressed property and you need some assistance, call 805-413-8000. Again, that number is 805-413-8000. Ask for David Bartels or visit HomeLoanAdvocates.com. Or if you'd like, send David an email at david@HomeLoanAdvocates.com. This episode is also brought to you by Monster Marketing. That's right. That's the reason this call started and why we do it each and every week. Monster Marketing. It is a direct marketing method that I created to get face-to-face with people that have missed payments. It's literally 3% of the market, some more in other areas, but Monster Marketing guarantees face-to-face results with these people. We will give you proven step-by-step coaching, training, and mentoring so that you can convert those individuals into listings or deals, depending on being a realtor or investor. If you would like to find out more, go visit Honish.com. That's HONISH.com.
I don't care if you're an investor or a real estate agent, you want more leads, you want more of anything, go to Honish.com. Sign up, get a free one-on-one with me because 99% of your business is doing work for free. I am joined by the number one franchisee in the Conejo Valley, the top-selling real estate agent of the Conejo Valley. And he's also the number one short sale mitigator on the planet. I am joined, of course, by David Bartels. How are you today, David?
I'm fine, but that's awful lofty. And
pretty actual.
Partially untrue. But yes. Good morning, everybody. David Bartels here, Home Loan Advocates. Happy to be here.
With all of that said, for everybody, can you say a little something about Home Loan Advocates, please?
Well, we're spending a lot of time doing short sale negotiation for people, helping investors and realtors put deals together with distressed properties they might not otherwise be able to do. And so if you've got a complicated transaction, especially if it requires short sale negotiations with the bank, we should probably be a source for you to consult with and even have us negotiate that transaction, especially considering you'll get paid by the bank and we'll also get paid by the bank 72% of the time, which means it doesn't cost you anything to engage us. So if you want to have that conversation, 805-413-8000 is the phone number, 805-413-8000, or David at HomeLoanAdvocates.com.
There you go. All the good stuff out of the way. Let's just keep it open. Everybody go ahead and ask questions. I know that David did a couple of weeks. I did a week or so. Let's just get reaffirmed and remotivated with everybody, David. How important is it for you in your daily business to have your day planned out and blocked?
Well, it's really important. And in spite of my effort to do that, I still get, a little off track. It's very hard. I mean, I start off with a simple goal every day. What are the top 5 things I need to do today? And I work very hard to stay focused on doing those 5 things. And yet there are a gazillion distractions out there that pull you away from that objective. Some are necessary and some are not. And I struggle every day trying to figure out what's urgent versus important and what's important versus urgent, and discern the difference between where my time ought to be focused.
I'm really lucky right now because I'm part of an accountability call every morning. And so it's helping me, and I'm working on time blocking for everybody and trying to structure out my day. Do you goal set much during the day?
Well, for the day I do. I don't do long-term goal setting, generally during the day. I try to get to a quiet place to be able to do that. I am in that phase. And goal setting for me is not a day or a moment. It's really something that I think about, and then I really carve out some quiet time to really figure out what it is I want to do. I happen to be in that phase right now for starting with what should my business look like, and before I even get to what we're going to try to accomplish and how, and getting ready. I watched the Bill Gates documentary a couple of weeks ago, actually 3 of them, which I thought was really interesting. But one of the things that he does that I am going to do is he takes a thinking week. He really just goes off to a quiet place by himself and sits and really processes a lot of these ideas that he's got swirling around in his head, and really tries to come up with a way to execute the best of those ideas. And I really thought that was brilliant, where you just dedicate, maybe it's not a week for me, but dedicated a certain amount of time really to kind of work out some of the process pieces, the application pieces of some of these longer term objectives that need incremental steps in order to achieve them.
That's excellent. Barbara DeMarco writes in, I agree, David, and that's great, Lee, to have accountability. I think it's important for everybody, and I think it's an excuse to network. What time do you, David Lee, start your day? What time do you end your day? That's a good question. So for me, I try, because I'm taking care of my parents. Didn't really want to record that and keep it sort of on the call, but I get up, I take care of them, I take care of their needs first, right? And then I try to get it done before the accountability call at 8. And because I do marketing as well for that group, I try to do all my sweep ups right after that before I start my actual day. My day ends business-wise. I really try to shoot for 5 or 6 because I know that I'll be up late at night doing most of my digital marketing. How do you start? When do you end for your day, David?
I'm generally up by 5 a.m. and I'm doing work by 5:30 a.m. Monday through Friday, and then I run all day. I generally don't take a lunch. I have a snack or fruit or a protein shake or something, at my office or at my desk. And I run all my appointments. I try to stick to my agenda and my schedule. And then I have dinner, and I've been trying to be done by 8-ish at night, and going to bed and trying to get some rest and starting up and doing the next day. So yesterday I was at the gym at 5 a.m., done by 6, and then I started working, took a shower in between and that kind of thing, but worked until about 9:15 last night is how it worked out. That's not unusual to do it that way.
Barbara DeMarco also writes, do you journal? I'm hearing more each day that this helps in the process. So, okay, for me, and I know David's already going to agree on this topic because we both try the Healthy Mindset Journal. It's important to personal aspects of our lives, both. I'm not speaking for David. I'm just saying that we're kind of on the same page on this. But I do personal journal. I do have even pillars and stuff that I read every morning to keep me motivated, positive, and excited. Because it's important to stay positive, motivated, and excited, because if that's what you're mirroring, then that's what you get back, right? So if you're thinking negative thoughts, or you're depressed, or you're letting life overwhelm you, especially when your personal life starts to overwhelm you, it's going to affect your business. At least it has for me. What about you, David?
I don't journal per se. I make a lot of notes along the way, so it's not in the form of a journal, but I do write down my thoughts either in my iPad, or maybe it's as simple as an email to myself, just as a reminder that I need to come back to that particular idea. I do spend time reasoning things out with other people here and there, mostly and I make a statement, sometimes in the form of a question, and then it ends in, am I crazy or am I on the right track?
Yeah.
And I'll have that conversation with multiple people throughout the process, and before I get into execution mode. But I'm slow and I'm deliberate about what I'm doing, and I'm more focused on my important long-term goals and what I'm doing today that moves me closer to that goal. If that makes
There you
sense.
go. That's awesome. I'm inserting a gratuitous break because everybody joined late on the call. Hi, everyone. It's Lee and David again. David, give a informational on Home Loan Advocates right here, right in the center.
Well, Home Loan Advocates, short sale negotiations is what we do. 805-413-8000, David at HomeLoanAdvocates.com. We take dead money and turn it into commission income. So whether or not you're an investor or you're a real estate agent, you want us to handle the heavy lifting. We even get the bank to pay our fee 7 out of 10 times. So if you're thinking about you don't turn short sales over to us because you don't know how to do it. You turn them over to us because we're good at it, and it doesn't cost you money most of the time, and it frees you up to do what's really important, and that is generating new business.
Also, my name's LeeHonish. If you need help with marketing, digital marketing, concept creations, product creations, just about a little bit of everything, go to honish.com. Learn about distressed properties, learn about whatever you want to learn about. Let's change gears. Let's go back to our basics here. This is a group that is designed to work on distressed properties. So let's open it up on distressed properties for the second part of this call. Barbara DeMarco, who's the only one involved. I'm just saying that to the rest of you that are engaged on the phone call. Barbara's the only one who's asking questions. Fire them away. David Lee, what's going on with the market with NODs and NOSs? David, from your perspective, what's going on?
Well, we're seeing some months it spikes and some months it's flat to down. I think overall the trend continues to decline. We're certainly within normal levels, but those normal levels still create about 2 million opportunities nationwide. So, the fact that it's not front page news every day doesn't mean there isn't plenty of opportunities in there. We are, obviously we continue to see the same things we talked about all year. Second lien foreclosures. We're seeing a lot more equity foreclosures than negative equity foreclosures than we're used to seeing. And we're seeing people with the market price, with the pricing pullback that we've had, the valuations, especially in Southern California, we've seen them flat and even pulled back 5-6% in some markets. We're seeing people who have been kind of waiting, hoping they move from a negative equity position to a positive equity position so that they can move. We've been seeing them finally say, okay, we're never going to get there now. The market's going to slide again. I might as well let it go now, and are looking for ways out. So we've all of a sudden seen an increase in people who are not delinquent but want to sell their house short because they've been waiting 5, 6, 7 years to go to Phoenix to live with their kids, and they can't get out of Southern California because they didn't think that they could sell their house, and now they're like, okay, what do I got to do? What's it going to cost? And who's most qualified to help me?
There you go. Any other questions from the group? I think, David, a couple of weeks ago, I sent you over the Keith Giroux video about the shadow inventory that still exists, banks actually not foreclosing, people sitting in delinquency for 5+ years, and no real action being taken on by the bank. I know that you got a chance to review it and referred to it as interesting. We've been experiencing this for a long time and wondering about the artificial stimulation of the market and where we're at right now. I'd love to get your feedback. And if you guys haven't seen it, just type it. I believe I got it right. It's Keith Giroux video. It's out there. He wrote an article initially about the East Coast, and then he shot an actual video backing up numbers and doing Q&A as well. But I'd love to hear your feedback on what he had to say.
Well, I apologize because it's taken me it's been a couple of weeks, I think, maybe 3, since
Yeah.
I looked at that. So, the content really isn't fresh on my mind. I, I, I think was it referring to, lower interest rates in order to stimulate housing sales?
Yes.
Okay.
That is ultimately what his point was, is that by the Fed keeping the rates down and the banks not foreclosing, they managed in 2010 to plateau the market and bring it back to a place. And his only fear, and I don't know if it's a fear because they've been handling it so well, is just by not dealing with delinquency, right? That's
Well, the
what,
shadow inventory.
yeah,
Yeah.
really about
So,
the apathy of the shadow inventory.
yeah. So what? Yeah, I know specifically which one you're talking about, but the thing that he's saying is, what he was saying is that houses for the bank, if you think about loss mitigation is about how do we lose the least amount of money.
Right.
And one of the things he was talking about is that on the surface, while the numbers look okay and everything seems to be stable in the marketplace, and you could argue that things are really back to normal, with the exception of values back to where they were, at the peak in 2008, although they're, within feet of being there. You know, the what he's saying is that the banks recognize that that it is better for them to leave somebody in a house, even if they haven't paid for 5 or 6 years, than to evict them because of the values. And what the banks have decided to do is really just to ignore the elephant in the room and postpone that pain, thinking that it will maybe be less painful if they get to a place where they decide that they want to foreclose when the house has appreciated versus foreclosing when the house is in disrepair because it was, abandoned. And basically he's saying there's millions of houses like this that are out there where everything seems to be going, and these homeowners have been numbed into thinking that they are going to live there free indefinitely, and are not prepared for for when the banks finally have to face the music, or they decide that they want to face the music and start to clear this inventory out. And there's going to be a lot of there's going to be a lot of these that are taking place. Now, we don't know why the banks are waiting this long to do it, and everybody who's paying any attention to distressed properties knows somebody who hasn't paid for 5, 6, 7 years. I mean, I've seen a lot of that, and it's always been a surprise to me. But when they start to go after those properties, they're going to be pretty ruthless about it, and they're going to force people out. So there's a lot of delinquencies that you might be seeing in your list where you're tagging, you just for the life of them don't understand why they don't respond. And the truth is that they don't, it's like the kid who you say, if you do it one more time and this is going to happen, and then you don't enforce that consequence, they just keep doing it over and over and over again. And that's kind of what the banks have lulled homeowners into doing, is that they keep threatening them that they're going to do something about it if they don't pay or cure or leave, and then they don't do anything and nothing happens. And so homeowners really aren't that nervous about what the banks say at this point. They don't, we'll see what happens.
Jose Sanchez Alvarez, Lee, besides Property Radar, what other companies can we use to find property foreclosure or pre-foreclosure information? I mean, okay, so you said Property Radar. There is also Realty Track, RedX, which nobody on this call historically has been able to seem to pull that off successfully or use the data well or like it. And somebody told me there's something called pre-foreclosure data out there that I've never seen. I've never looked at the website, but I've heard the name. Is there any other source you're aware of, David?
There are a lot of sources out there for people who have records that you can use. You don't have to look very far to do it. I mean, listen, for people who don't want to pay for this data, there's a reasonably good chance that your title company will provide these lists. So I don't know how dated they are. You can
They
also
seem to
go
be the last in the loop based on the data.
right. And then Zillow is a place where you can go you could filter, by an area, and it'll tell you what the pre-foreclosure information is, on some of those sites. So there are ways, to do it. For me, I'm more interested in easy, convenient, and mostly, fast. And so for me, that tool is Property Radar, because it's just easy. It's got the best user interface, and their data is reasonably up to date. It's not perfect. None of them are, by the way, but it's my preferred source. It's probably the most expensive too, but the way I look at it in the big scheme of things, whether or not it's, $40 a month or $60 a month, it really doesn't make any difference. I like to think that my time is worth more than that.
Absolutely. Barbara DeMarco, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years gives them a lot of freedom and a lot of illusion. I would agree with that sentence, Barbara. Natalie, you can go to Realist, which is part of our MLS, and do it by filtering for foreclosures. We pay for it as part of our dues. There you go. There's another suggestion. And Barbara DeMarco wrote, going back to an earlier point, David, so what do we do in the case, David? Non-delinquent? I mean, diverse. I guess the question goes back to, okay, so it's 2-3%. You plumbed all your pre-foreclosures. You're doing the monster. You're doing your thing. It's a percentage of your niche. Where would you invest your time? So for me, right, and for the people that I coach and work with, we focus our time on buyers in real time off of social media. What about you and your business, David? What's your diversification?
Well, actually, you and I had this conversation yesterday, I think. And
That's a loaded question. I knew where it would go.
Yeah. So yes, distressed property is one of the funnels that we run, and it's, my business is probably 15% or so, maybe 20. I probably do 1 or 2 distressed transactions a month. They are, for me, the most profitable transactions I do, which is why I still think it's an important funnel for me to work. I also find that I have the highest conversion rates in the distressed property, mostly because I have this unique skill set, this knowledge base that I've developed over the years, and because there's a limited amount of competition. So that's one aspect. Having said that, I get most of my business comes from 3 sources, and most of your business should probably come from the 3 sources. Number 1 is where they're not in any order. They come from referral and repeat business. They come from open houses, and it comes from signs, not yard signs per se, but signs. So when I do an open house, I actually hire somebody to put 15 to 20 open house signs out, for those 4 hours, and then pick them up. Nobody wants to do this. So I pay a guy to do that. And that seems to stimulate lots of activity, well, I shouldn't say lots of activity, but it stimulates brand awareness. It still works. Now, in addition to that, I'm very focused on a for sale by owner funnel, an expired, and separately an expired and canceled funnel. Plus, we're running Facebook funnel and database marketing funnel. So, and for those of you that are listening, to me say all this, and you're wondering, how do you do all that stuff? Well, the answer is that I've implemented these one thing at a time over several years, and incrementally have hired people in order to manage those individual funnels and use technology where possible to make it possible as well. So, those are a lot of things. I think beyond the distress and the open house, the referral, the referral business and the signs. I think the for sale by owner for me represents the greatest opportunity, followed by not generating more leads, but converting the leads that I already have in my database. And if you're a new or a longtime agent, I would say the number one most important thing you should be doing is putting all your leads in a single database, whether or not it's Follow Up Boss like I use or Realty Juggler. There's some free ones or some $10 ones out there. It doesn't really matter what database you use. It is probably your greatest, most important asset that you have.
There you go. Information about Home Loan Advocates.
Well, you can call me 805-413-8000, 805-413-8000, or David at HomeLoanAdvocates.com. Home Loan Advocates in particular focuses on distressed properties, short sale negotiations. And what you've been hearing me talk a little bit about is my retail real estate business, which is Help You Sell Full Service Realty, which is in Westlake Village, California. So why I've got this distressed property, business, and it's what we started our business with. We're also running a full-time real estate business that is really doing very, very well in our market. We're the top sales team in all of Ventura County right now.
There you go. And if you'd like to find out more about how to be a part of this coaching group or information or other podcasts and broadcasts, because that's been happening, David. People trying to find out more about us have been hitting me up through all the forms of the social media. You can go to Honish.com. All the links, everything you need. If you want to find out how to get a stream of buyers through your Facebook, it will get you busy and get you up and running. I can't stress it enough. It is a mind-boggling amount of leads. It's been very successful. It's been running for months. They're very happy people. I just started. Here's a crazy one, David. So you know how the system works. I had someone yesterday. I started a friend's wife in Las Vegas on it. Her first day of getting those Facebook leads, the way I set them up, she got a buyer on day number one, just by the right series of questions. So it's out there. I mean, people are buying, people are selling. They're in every market. If you want more, go to Honish.com and find out more. And I would be more than happy to have a free one-on-one consultation with you to help better your business.